This is Ben Smith, long haul truck driver. And Ben, I think most people already know the story. Ran out of gas, but you know what? We're going to make the best use of this time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Ben's got a lot of ideas. He's got a lot of ideas, trust me. I've been in the truck with Ben for a week now, and I've heard a lot of them.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Ben, we're going to come up with an app, right?
We're going to come up with an app.
And we're going to have that app done by the time we get to Great Falls.
Great Falls,
That way.
Montana.
So tell us a little bit about what you want to build. What are some of your ideas?
So I'm always working backwards from what ideally are you really trying to facilitate for the user? What do they get out of it? And for my money,
Sorry, I have to make sure because I just have to make sure. Okay, I'm sorry. I will. Okay, back here with Ben Smith, long haul truck driver, pulled over to the side of the road, waiting for a tow truck because we ran out of gas. We've been through this, but we're going to make use of this time. Ben's got a lot of ideas, really good ideas for apps, and we're going to get those done by Great Falls, Montana. How are we going to do that? We're going to have Ben explain his ideas. What are you interested in, Ben?
what am I interested in
Yeah.
as far as app goes?
Well, let's talk generally.
Yeah.
Like
well,
if you could build anything, and that's what this is about. I mean, we had a couple of ideas before.
oh yeah, I've worked on a few projects before, and I tell you, there's been an evolutionary arc to this because I always like to start from what are you ultimately trying to facilitate for the user? What takeaways are they going to get from what you're doing? You can be very specialized. You can try to help them, economically, or help them learn something, any number of things. And at least for me, the ultimate takeaway that I would like to facilitate is that the end user gets better clarity on their own personal hero's journey.
Okay.
They're really able to elucidate that. What are their values? What's their life been like up until now? What would it ideally be like going forward? And what would constitute, quote unquote, winning in the course of the next 10 years of their life?
Okay.
Like what would really fit within the narrative of their life so
Right.
that they're like, you know what? Fucking that. And honestly, the first portion would literally just be getting clarity on that so that they can really refine and revise and update and clarify for themselves what it is that they're here to do.
Okay. Right. And here's a weird combination that we might work on. I don't know. But that combination is, we talked earlier about this idea of bringing other people into the truck driving community. But what if you brought other people into that community who could also simultaneously work on this narrative that you're talking about, right? Be better informed. Maybe there's something that they can do where all parties win. And
This is what the clarifying process would be.
This is right.
Because oftentimes a person's first answer to that, you can just put it under scrutiny and recognize that, well, even if you did win and play out the narrative that you've literally just spoken about, is that going to be at, the expense of others? Is it going to really fulfill you? Can we maybe preemptively learn those lessons before you have to gain all of that to recognize it's not what you wanted? And so I think you can kind of shit test it, play devil's advocate, and revise whatever a person's initial staple answer would be so that they can recognize, oh wow, there are in fact better answers to this question of what would be, a successful life path for me that is ultimately beneficial for everyone, not just me.
So it could be some kind of a career guidance.
Guidance.
A way to facilitate someone from the side.
Oh, sure.
Maybe a structured process of getting people from point A to point B because they're missing that structure.
Oh, yeah. People are just, flailing nowadays in this weird-ass world that we're in.
Right.
And so whether it starts with their beliefs about reality or about their station in life or economical station in life, whatever it might be that is really the relevant, starting place for them, it really could match up with it, however a person thinks about their life narrative. And it's not judgmental at all. It's like, hey, whatever your strokes are, man, different strokes, different folks. But at the end of the day, we've talked about this, that when you wake up and when you go to sleep, you're oftentimes unconsciously and consciously updating your current life narrative up to this point. Like you've got a story going on and you want to, turn it around. You want to be succeeding in the life that you're in. And there are better and worse versions of that. Once you get clarity on that, the ultimate real utilization of the app, once you've gotten clarity on your life path and your hero's journey, so to speak, is you could create a custom dashboard for yourself with a 5-year plan, 5-month plan, 5-week plan, so you see what's before you and how to accomplish the steps and milestones in accomplishing what you're meant to be doing right now, and just really streamline it, make it a very efficient, really productive process.
So what would you want someone to learn that maybe they haven't learned yet? Some life lessons. Where would they get those lessons? Would it be a series of videos, a series of books?
Well, here's the thing. It's different for everybody. It really is going to be different for everybody. So the first thing I would want a person to gain in just clarifying their life path for themselves is recognizing, oh, wow, there's a lot I'd like to be learning in the course of my life. I don't think I have everything that I need at my disposal to construct my ideal life narrative. What might those things be? And so you really want to prompt them to ask those questions of themselves, and then the process could help them figure out, well, is that going to come in the form of videos or book reading or coursework? What should I be filling out in this initial period that this dashboard's going to help me clarify and like start making steps and accomplishing milestones? And it's going to help fill in the gaps so that ideally the person, when best utilizing this, they'll get the clarity on what they're supposed to be doing. They'll start accomplishing it. They'll fill it out. They'll revise it and make sure that they're operating in a way that is net beneficial for everyone.
Right.
And including the fact that there's a lot that they have yet to learn that they ought to include in their life path.
Right. So you've heard about gap year, like right after high school, before college.
Right.
You've used the word gap a few times, so I'm thinking like this is something that people use when they're in that gap.
Oh yeah, a lot of people are in a gap of some kind right now.
They're in that gap. They need to figure it out. Okay, I was here. I have these dreams about getting here, here, here.
Right.
What's the path? How do I, it's like you showed me that image of the ladder, right? You know, the tiny steps. But what are those steps?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it'll help you figure out the steps, help you figure out how to create a dashboard, or even like a vision board, some poster that you can literally just get printed out that afternoon, put on your wall, that really exemplifies and visualizes your life path, so you can just keep it present in mind and utilize the dashboard or an app that's been tailor-made to you and how you think and learn, your learning styles, the way you operate, and just help you kind of revisit it every morning, every evening, make sure you're taking steps down that path, that you're updating it, giving new information.
Right, so I don't know if you've noticed this, but like when you're using AI and you're having to prompt AI, you're also kind of learning how to prompt in general, how to prompt yourself, right? So would this be also prompting the individual?
100%,
Okay.
yeah. The best way for anybody to learn is that they're prompted with the best questions for them to kind of not even just arrive at these conclusions themselves, but ask the right questions that yield those conclusions for themselves.
All right, so this is already like a really good start, and this is all going to go into a transcript, and we're going to refine it further, but we can actually refine it right now by asking, what does the final version of this even look like? I mean, use your imagination. Like, it's already been built, you're using it. How is it helping you every day? Where are you going as a result of using this system?
Yeah, like a working title in my mind would be a hero's journey assistant, you know? And it would be really well understood that you're going to be guided through a series of questions and prompts to elucidate what would be the first draft of your hero's journey life narrative.
Okay.
And then a whole lot of ways of like shit testing it and playing devil's advocate and seeing if you might update or revise or improve upon your first draft. So you get better clarity on, well, you know what, I really ought to learn this thing before I can get to that thing. I really should step this out into smaller steps. How do I do that? And you're able to just really clean it up. And then, you know, visualize it as a poster board that you can put on your wall, a little vision board, vision board thing, or as an app, or as a actual dashboard on your MacBook computer or whatever it is.
And my question is, why don't we have these things in the public schools or in the private schools for that matter, in any school, which is, all right, I've got all this information, what do I do with it now, right? How do I process it? Where do I go? I've got too many possibilities, right?
And at the end of the day, even for somebody that feels that way, like, oh man, I got too many possibilities, there is only so much time in the day, and we've seen that ladder, visual of someone trying to go 6 feet up as opposed to 6 inches up. And so this would really, in the prompting and the clarifying process, help them realize, you know what, I really need to be satisfied with baby steps. If I can't be satisfied with baby steps, I'm just not going to get anywhere. And so this will help them establish the ladder of baby steps so that they can accept the baby step before them, knowing that if they keep going, they'll get to those exciting milestones 2 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now.
Yeah, and wouldn't it be cool, by the way, if you had this before you begin your education, right?
100%.
Instead, you're studying, but not knowing where it goes, where that information goes, correct? So I think we have a good starting point for building this. We don't know what the UI, UX is all about. That can be refined later.
Oh, yeah.
But do you have any, do you have any visuals in mind of like, what does this look like? How do you get prompted?
In my mind, the first version of this would be a questionnaire that helps elucidate this initial process for the person. And we would trial this out with a few dozen people to see what kinds of answers they're giving, and ideally what we ought to be giving them in response to those answers.
Yeah.
And then we could build out the second part. That would be like the beta test group.
Yeah.
Because then you'd get clarity on, it's not hard to build a questionnaire process that helps the person ask themselves the right questions and prompts to get a sense of their life narrative. You can easily put that through some AI visual creation studio to make a vision board. That's not too hard to do. They can literally just the very next day get a poster printed of their own little personal vision board of their hero's journey visualized for themselves on their wall. That's pretty cool already. But the really cool stuff that would take time to develop on versions 2.0 and 3.0 would be how to tailor make a dashboard that goes on your desktop, or how to create an app that is tailored to you so that you have your milestones, delineated out for yourself.
Right, and it could be adaptable to each type of person.
Right.
There's lots of data sets, as you know, that could be loaded into this personality types, Myers-Briggs, Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence types, to figure out who that person is. But there's also something else, which is the 7-point, I think it's Donald Miller's story. Every story goes through the same process.
Right.
Every movie you see goes through that process.
Right.
So this is kind of like that cheat code that we talked about before, which is, man, if you had that ahead of time, all those steps, like the hero's on a journey, reaches an obstacle, could go great, could go terrible.
I tell you, I pull my hair out sometimes at the fact that this doesn't seem to be an available resource in the world, because at the end of the day, you really just have to meet someone where they're at, whether it's yourself or someone else, and be able to begin where they're at most appropriately with an understanding of where they're at, the context, narrative of their life up to that point. This is basic stuff that people skip all the time, that I would want to really start there.
Yeah.
Because then a person is developing a strong foundation on which to operate.
Now, let me, just a final question, because we have so much good information already, is, do you really think this is possible? We could have something by Great Falls?
Fuck yeah.
Okay. All right, man.
Fuck yeah, let's do it.
All right, we're there.
Let's do it.
We're going.
That's how you do it in the hood. We're the dudes playing the dudes disguised as other dudes.